not leading with their dick. You know, bam. Oh. Because I don't care. They could be, you know, the best at everything else. But the minute they lead with their dick, the girl's going to leave. She's going to be turned off instantly. So what does that mean? So
dick pics don't work. If a guy drops one in your DMs, it's not working for you?
Right. No, you know, that just makes us uncomfortable. And then we show it to all our friends. We laugh a little and then it's over.
Welcome to Get Busy Livin. So before we get started on today's amazing show, I have a guest for you that you're absolutely going to love. I want to mention our sponsors to you, Vitos Lifestyle. Now, actually, my guest was in one of the commercials that we shot for Vitos Lifestyle and some photos that you really want to check this company out, not just to see my guest in those commercials, but to see the products that they have. Anything for home use, right? Like bands and balls and different things like that. So go to vitoslifestyle.com and use the code Clark to get a 10% discount on anything you buy. I promise you want to go check out Vitos Lifestyle. Then Training Mask is another one of the sponsors of today's show and also a very, very close friend of mine. Training Mask is a mask that you use in the gym to increase your cardiovascular strength. That's not something we think about enough in fitness. We're always concerned with the outside, our body, our muscles, right? But what about our breathing muscles? They're so very important. Think about this for a second. Breathing is the first thing you do when you're born and the last thing you do before you leave this earth. And you never need to think about it in between. But when you use a training mask, you think about every single repetition and it makes you stronger. So go to trainingmask.com, use the code Clark and save there as well. Tell them I sent you. So on to the show. My guest today is a very dear friend of mine. We've modeled for years together. She's one of the top fitness models in the industry. She's an aspiring actress. She's a personal trainer. She's an author now. More importantly than anything else, she's a beautiful human. And that's what I want to bring on Get Busy Livin' is great people with a great message. And we're going to talk about her new book today, How to Date Your Ideal Man, right? Is that the name of it?
How to Date Your Dream Woman.
How to date your, I was thinking the opposite way. How to Date Your Dream Woman. That's a great segue into
right?
Stacy Michaels is my special guest today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
How to Date Your Ideal Man. That's, well, you know, how would you date your ideal man?
Just follow the same guidelines I give the men on how to date your dream woman.
So it works on both sides.
Absolutely.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about you before we talk about your book.
Well, I came from Utah and I came out to San Diego when I was 18.
Okay.
Got my, like you said, I'm an actress. I got my degree in musical theater, which is an actor, dancer, singer. And I started that way, bartending my way through college, trying to pay it all off. And that was when I really started seeing a lot of the interacting of dating. People, how they reacted, and especially when you're the bartender, you're the one kind of watching behind the scenes in a way. And just, and then listening to the lines guys would use and the reaction girls would have. So I learned a lot of that, even body language. I talk a lot about how people don't pay attention to body language, which could save a lot of men if they just paid attention, right? And then as that went along, I got into personal training. As a dancer, I was always having to stay fit. And so I started working out in the gym, and this woman out of nowhere, a little older woman, kept out to me. She goes, "Can you help me? You look like you know what you're doing." And I took just that moment and I looked around and I went, there's not a single female trainer in here. And then I went up to one of the male trainers. I go, "Do you guys even have a female trainer?" They're like, "No, we don't even have one on staff." And that's when I went, okay, here's something I needed to be doing.
So this is what year that you discovered this opportunity?
Oh God, I don't know what year that was. Yeah. I can't even tell you. Probably
because that's really good. What life's about is discovering opportunities, right? You saw a moment, you looked around and thought, man, there's no one here doing this. I could be doing this, and you jumped in and you've been doing it ever since.
Ever since. I mean, I did have to overlap the bartending because I needed to build a clientele. So I had to keep the bartending up. But again, also the bartending helped me to get used to talking to anyone and getting conversation, because as you know, when we meet someone, we have to have an instant connection with them. Right. We have to make them feel comfortable with us, so that, because they're coming to us in a vulnerable state. They're saying I'm overweight. I don't feel good about myself. I'm trusting you to not judge me, but to help me. And so the bartending helped me learn to just talk to anyone. That's where that started. And then I just started building my clientele. And then, as you know, we meet all different walks of life of people. Yes, I train both men and women, but primarily my clientele has been women. And so now I hear stories because even as a bartender, trainers are also therapists. We both situations, you become a therapist and you're hearing their stories, and I would hear married women, single women, newly divorced women, hearing the pluses and minuses. The funny thing was hearing the newly divorced women because they're older. And they have been maybe 10, 20 years out of the loop of dating, and getting back into that single world was very interesting for them because now, things aren't what they remembered them to be before they got married. And just hearing what their breaks, the deal breakers, their deal breakers, their likes, their dislikes, coming back and going, this is not what I thought it was going to be.
So that's what I want to talk about. And men, I want you to pay attention to this because a lot of the guys that I coach as a man over 50 are going through divorce. 25, 27, 30 years. I cannot imagine what that would be going back out onto the dating scene after all of that time and not knowing how to interact with a woman, right? You laugh because you're like, oh, if you only knew how they don't know how to interact with a woman. So the information that Stacy is going to share with us today, I think is vitally important. And I want you to take notes, but more than anything else, I want you to get her book. We're going to share with you where to get it. But listen to me, I'm dead serious. I could say all of what I think, but I don't know. I'm not a woman for one. I've never been approached by a man wanting to pick up on me. So what Stacy is going to share with you comes from real world experience. And I don't think she's any different than any other woman on how she wants to be approached, how she wants to be talked to, some of the deal breakers, as you've referred to them, that a man shouldn't do if he wants to get a woman of high value. So go into your first, just take it away. What do you want to share about this?
Because you went there. He went there. He said, what is one of the deal breakers, which is in the book, right? And, you learn this as you get older. And again, he mentioned high value women. Okay, because I've had people comment and go, oh, I know a lot of women who like to just sleep on the first date or whatever. I'm like, that's not we're talking high value women who are going to be of caliber of what a man wants to have a relationship with, not someone he wants to have a fling with, but someone who wants to have a good quality, sustaining relationship with. And one of the deal breakers that women have, at least, not all of them, I can't generalize, but a good majority of them, is not leading with their dick. Bam. Because I don't care. They could be, the best at everything else. But the minute they lead with their dick, the girl's going to leave. She's going to be turned off instantly. So what does that mean? So
dick pics don't work. If a guy drops one in your DMs, it's not working for you?
Right. No, that just makes us uncomfortable. And then we show it to all our friends. We laugh a little and then it's over.
Do you hear that, guys? Your wiener's being seen by everyone on the girl that you DM'd, thinking you're pulling her in because you are proud of your body parts. And it's not, in most cases, again, we can't generalize everybody, but a high value woman is not going to respond to that.
Well, what are you saying to her? That you're already implementing, this is all I want from you, is I want this in you. Basically, you're not saying, hey, I want to get to know you as a person. I want to get to know your personality. I want to get to know your likes and dislikes. That's not what you're saying. You're saying, I'm only interested in one thing. But even let's say not as invasive as that. I've had guys who have asked me out, via text or phone call, and they've set up the date and we're like, okay, let's go out this Saturday night. We've got all the details set up and everything. And then hour later, we're still texting, and he sends me a picture of his body and maybe a boxers or something. Okay, yeah, you got a hot body. That's why I'm going out with you. I'm attracted to hotness because I am a fitness girl. I like fit guys. So already I know what you look like. You don't need to send me a picture of you half naked, because what you're implying to me is I'm doing some pseudo foreplay with you right now. And I'm hoping to get laid on this date. And that to me is what you're implying. And I would rather, and I think you and I talked about it, I would rather them just send a cute picture of themselves. Just a face or something. Hey, looking forward to our date or something. But the minute they send me a body picture with them in their boxers, or some of them with nothing and a book in front or whatever, I already know what you look like. I already accepted a date. But that tells me you are foreplaying with me already. I'm hoping to get laid. And that right off will push me back. I will sometimes just cancel the date. I won't even go out with them.
Really?
Because I'm like, am I going to have to fight you off now through the date? You've already got me thinking. Is this going to be a date where I can enjoy myself, or is this going to be a date that I'm going to have my guard up? Because that's kind of what you've done now. I want you to get to know me. I don't want you to just think about getting down my pants. And if that's the case, then, you're not looking at me as a high value woman.
So how uncomfortable is that in that moment? Say you take that date and the guy does this virtual foreplay, if you will. And you go out on the date kind of reluctantly, and you're sitting there at dinner or having a drink or whatever, and it starts getting awkward. How do you protect yourself, I guess is the best way to put it, right? Because you're at risk at this point, because if a guy's automatically assuming, hey, this girl's going to go jump in bed with me right away, this is a slam dunk, then he's going to push even harder in person. And if the drinks start flowing and all of that. So in addition to men understanding what not to do, I want you to speak to women on how to protect themselves, how to get out. Do you have a safety mechanism in place?
Oh, a lot of different things. For one, if he did that already off the bat, you're not picking me up. Most of the time, I don't have them pick me up anyway. I don't want them knowing where I live. And that's just, you don't know these people. We're just barely get to know each other. You have someone that, even if it's someone your friend introduced you to, how well do they know them? I'm not going to take that risk. I don't know. So most of the time I meet them. I always tell them I'll meet you wherever we're going to go, if it's for dinner or something like that. So that already, I have my car to get home. I don't drink. That will be definitely a no-no. Now, before all this happened, I may have thought, well, maybe I'll have one drink or whatever. No, now I will not drink, because that's another indicator. That's another, especially if they're pushing it too. Then it gets me more turned off. Oh, you're not going to have a drink? Really? They're trying to ease you in more. And I'm like, you are just digging a hole the more you keep trying this. So it's like I'm seeing your intentions, and they're not good. So I won't drink. And then often, like I have my girlfriend here, who what us friends will do that often is we will say, this is where I'm going to be. This is the time I'm going to be at, so someone knows where you're at all times. That's always a good precaution. Yeah. Just for any of that.
And age is no separating factor, right? You could be 18 or you could be 28 or 38 or 48 or whatever. You should still incorporate those principles in dating.
Oh, absolutely. I think that, I know some couples, I just found, that husband and wives that have GPS on each other, right? And I'm like, you GPS your wife? He goes, I don't do it all the time. This is a client of mine. He goes, but at least we know. And he goes, my kids too. And I thought even girlfriends could do that. Why not? Hey, let's GPS each other so I know where you're at when you're on that date. In this day and age, why not? Yeah. It's just a smart way to go. And, it just bothers me when they do push like that, though. Yeah. It's such a turnoff. Do you know who Jay Shetty is? He's off and on. He's the Indian guy. He's got beautiful light eyes. And you'll see him on TikTok, and I think some of you might know him. Jay Shetty was in a TikTok, and he said something very pertinent. I don't know if it was a study he read or a study he did, but he said that it takes 100 hours just to make a casual connection.
Wow.
100 hours to make a casual connection. How many people go out and date for 100 hours before they get into bed? Oh, come on. Maybe 10 hours,
it's like
right?
a lollipop commercial. A 1, a 2.
Exactly. And then he said it took 200 plus hours to make a great connection. And I thought, you guarantee, how many of us think about that and go, what if you were to say, what if women were just to go, all right, I'm going to date you, and we need to put in 100 hours before any type of sexual intimacy. Yeah. You might kiss, you might hold hands, but before any sexual, we have to put in 100 hours. I think people would get to know each other better.
Yeah, so a Netflix movie is only 90 minutes long, so I don't think Netflix and chill really applies.
That's another one, the Netflix and chill. That's another leading with your dick I've had happen, where someone will start out like, hey, let's meet up for coffee. And I'm like, okay, great, casual. And in just the conversation where I've already agreed to meet up with the coffee. And then we're talking, still texting or whatever, an hour maybe of off and on texting. He'll be like, well, how about you just come over to my house and I make you dinner and we watch a movie? I'm
in the
done.
same conversation before
Same
coffee
conversation.
even happens.
We went from coffee, haven't even done coffee yet, right into how about you just come over to my house and we watch a movie? Yeah. And we're done. There goes the mic, done. I'm done.
Yeah, guys, listen, if you want a high value woman, man, don't be stupid. Don't lead with your dick. What's the next one?
Oh, the next deal breaker,
Yes.
big deal breaker, don't lead with your wallet. And that goes a lot with, I'm going to pick on older men.
Go ahead.
Is that okay if I pick on? I know you have a big following of older men, but.
Well, that's who the book is really directed to, in my opinion, because so many older men are trying to date, maybe after they sow some wild oats, but a woman like you, or maybe even a younger, like 20-something-year-old, which I don't get, but that's a whole nother thing. Go ahead.
Well, and the thing is I know there's a generation that now don't get me wrong, because it's not like I don't think men should, pay for a dinner and all of that. That's not what I'm talking about. It's offensive. And this has happened to me often. And my friends have seen this happen, where we will be out at a bar or restaurant bar having some drinks. And I've had this happen where someone sent over a glass of wine. And I said, no, thank you. Well, because wine makes me very sick, but I just also, another way to keep yourself safe, as all women should, don't take a glass of anything that you don't know where it came from.
Right.
So I don't know where that way, what he should have asked is, this gentleman over here would like to buy you a drink. What would you like? Which is fine. But I looked over, wasn't interested, didn't want the glass of wine, whatever. Anyway, about an hour or so later that those men left, and this waiter who had said this guy would like to buy you or give you a glass of wine, he then was joking, but not. And he's like, you weren't interested in that guy? I go, no, not really. He goes, why? He has money. My response, I'm not a hooker. Oh. I'm not for sale. Because that to me is what you're implying, that I'm up for purchase.
Yeah.
I have my own money. Yeah. I have my own money. I'm not after someone. Now, there are women that are. There are some women that go after that, but don't assume. Because that to me is you're implying I'm an object that can be bought. And by doing that, I just shut off. Because to me, you're saying I'm a hooker. Because, I have money. Oh, so if you're going to purchase me now? And that happens a lot. I will get men that'll go, if, they'd ask me out or they're trying to come on to me. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm not interested. Well, I have money.
Really? People actually say that?
Yes. And automatically I'm like, I didn't know I was for sale.
Wow. How do they respond to that? Because you're bold. Like, you don't hold back. You don't. That's what I love about Stacy. She doesn't play games, man. If she's not interested, she'll politely let you know. If you say, I have money, she's going to not so politely let you know.
I will say that I'm not a hooker. Yeah. I'm not for sale. Exactly. And then they'll try to go, oh, well, you women like money or whatever. They'll try to fluff it, some of them. I grew up, this is a personal thing. So I'm going to go personal because, there are women out there that may feel like this. I had a stepfather I did not get along with at all. And he played, and I know a lot of people will get this, while you're under my roof. Yeah. How many times do we hear that, right? Yeah. You have to do this, this, and this while you're under my roof. I thought in my head, I will never let a man control me with money again in my life. And the minute I turned 18 and I came out here for college, I paid for everything. I put myself through college. My stepfather did not, my family never gave me anything. So everything was, so when he tried to pull that again, and I was in college and I went home to visit, he tried to pull that again. And I go, no, dude, I'm not under your thumb anymore. I pay for everything. And I felt like that leash was broken. And so that for me was, I want to have my own money to make my own choices. And I think a lot of men get offended when like, oh, women are making their own money. They don't need us anymore. But there's nothing wrong with us not needing you. I think it's more imperative if someone really wants you. And I don't think they understand that. If someone really wants you, that means they've gotten to know everything about you. Do you really want me to date you because I need your money? I mean, do you really want that?
Runs out?
Or I've heard girls that will use your money to go date Leonard over here. Little honey over here.
Yeah. Someone she's actually attracted to.
Yes.
Not the money.
Yeah. And sometimes, unfortunately, if it's an older man and that's the way he's trying to get a younger girl, she'll do that and then go get a younger guy to spend the money on.
Right.
I've heard many stories about that too.
And have an actual connection with.
Yes.
And
it's
fun.
like, so-and-so's giving me a bunch of money, and he thinks he's got this little young hottie that he's spending money on and everything, and she's playing him with another dude.
Wow.
So that's the danger of leading with your wallet, because I've also had men who will then lead with their wallet. I had a girlfriend this happened to. Then lead with his wallet, pull out, what is the black? Is that the black platinum, the big, they'll throw that card out when they're going out, right? And then they'll find a girl, and a month or two later, they're complaining because she's spending so much money. You led with your wallet.
Yeah, oh, there you go.
What did you expect? That's what you put out there for her.
Well, that's like a guy dating a stripper and then 2 months into it saying, hey, I don't want you stripping at the club anymore. It's like, well, you're dating a stripper and you led with your dick and then your wallet, and now you expect anyone of high value and any sort of connection. You connected in 1 hour in a club, the 99 you missed. So,
right?
So we got the dick, the wallet. What's next?
Okay, then we go into the traits. And there's other deal breakers people have. We all have our deal breakers, right? But those were my two main ones that I found I gathered from just information from my own life experiences and then all the women I talked to, besides my friends, all these female clients I've had through the years. Because, I've been a trainer for almost 20 years. So just the years of women and hearing their stories and that. And so I found that those were maybe the two top deal breakers for high value women. Because once again, there are going to be some women that'll be like, I want his money. Okay, well, that's your deal. If you guys are under the understanding of that, that's fine. And there are some people that go with the dick to me, as long as you both have that mutual understanding, that's what you're in it for, then that it is. But for most people who want high value relationships, then let's take that aside and get to know each other. And then we go into the 10 qualities that women and men look for in an individual and why. And they can all be different for other people, but I found like the essence of these 10 were really what most people are looking for and what creates a good relationship.
All right. Well, let's start. I'm excited to hear them, man. I got to know.
I had to make a cheat sheet because sometimes I will repeat them and I didn't want to repeat them for you guys.
Okay.
So it starts off with compatibility. You want me to just list it off and then we'll talk about them?
Yeah.
Or how do you want to do it?
Yeah, let's list them
Okay,
off.
so I'll just list off the 10 first. So we've got compatibility, confidence, take care of yourself, which you and I talk a lot about that, generosity, strong character, intelligence, integrity, loyalty, communication, and thoughtfulness.
So out of those 10, which one would be the most important one to you?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I know it is because I'm a good interviewer.
I know you are.
Meanwhile, while she's thinking about
this,
I want you guys to, Jim, pull up Stacy's website for us right now to give her a chance to look over her list. So I want you guys to go to stacysfitness.com and look at her website. If there are any women out there that are interested in training, she does that online, one-to-one. All of this can be done online. You don't need to be with her in person. However, if you are in person, she does that as well. Nutrition, online coaching. She does group classes at our gym. But what I really want you to get is go to the store, Jim, and click on the store. And I really want you to get this book. It's an ebook, so you can download it right now. You can get it on Kindle, but you click on it over there on the left, boom, right there it is. That looks like a high-value woman to me.
Right?
Yeah.
I thought so.
Hey, that's...
She says, I'm intelligent. I have my shit together. I'm confident. I take care of myself. Now, you don't know she has good character yet, but we can figure that out.
So you know what? I'm just going to say something because we live in a world of haters. We'll just keep it real. For someone, especially someone who doesn't feel high value or doesn't have the confidence, for them to hear you describe yourself as that, it's so offensive to them, right? Like, oh my God, listen to this bitch. Who does she think she is? She's so this and that and the other thing. But that's one of the character traits that people are attracted to, but it also can be something that pushes people away after a while if they are not keeping up the standards of excellence that we have for ourselves. Did that make sense?
Absolutely.
Okay.
No, absolutely. Well, I think that goes back to, so I often say this, is become what you want to attract. Mm-hmm. So how many people in marriages or relationships, someone's vibration or their growth goes up and the other one's not going up with it. And a lot of times they break it off because they're not on the same path. They're not on the same vibration. So that can happen.
That's what we refer to as growing apart, right?
100%. Exactly. And that, because one person might be elevating who they are, elevating themselves, taking care of themselves. One of the things so let me go back to you asked me, was this okay? So I'm looking at this and I think I would have to say strong character.
Okay.
Because I think a strong character encompasses so much of all the other things. If you're a strong character person, you're going to be, for the most part, thoughtful. Most strong character people, if they have a good standard of strong character, are going to be confident. Will it be compatibility? Maybe. I'm a strong character, so there's some compatibility we already have. So I would think the one that would probably be my really top one, because someone of strong character stands by their word. And you're big on this too. Person of their word. I'm huge. My stepfather really instilled that in us, that if you say you're going to do something, you are there and you honor your word to that person. So that's, again, strong character. Strong character is going to be someone who's going to communicate with you because they believe in that, and that goes into integrity and all of that. So I think that's probably a really big one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Strong character, gentlemen. Like, don't be cheating on taxes and people and tests and doing shady stuff that undermines what someone thought you represented, because it truly does rot away the foundation if suddenly you have someone of high value and then you start doing these things that aren't of high character, and then a person could look at you differently, like, that wasn't what I thought. He said he was going to do this and then he didn't. And I'm seeing a frequency in that. Like you said, that really bothers me. And I try as best I can to be that guy. If I say something, I'm going to do it. And if I don't, it's typically out of my control. Like, I tried and
100%. I always tell people, if I told you I'm going to be there, unless I'm in a paramedics ER or something, I will be there. And my friends know that now. They know that about me. They don't have to say 2 or 3 times, so are we still going out? Did I tell you it? Last time, I will be there. And they know now, but if they're getting to know me first, they're not unsure, because we have so much of people who aren't like that. So I get it. But yeah, that strong character. So I'll tell you how, a little bit how this came about too. Besides, by the way, everyone, this gentleman is the reason why I wrote this book. He encouraged me to write this. He supported me completely on it. And what it really stemmed from is I had, beginning years of my training, I had this really brilliant lawyer client. She was really wonderful. She did family law. So she's dealing with domestic stuff all the time. And I don't know, I probably had a bad date or something, and I was bitching about some guy I went out with or whatever. And she goes, this is the best thing I could ever tell you. And I think her grandmother, great-grandmother told her this once. She goes, go get a journal. She goes, and I want you to write down everything you want in a man, like as if you were wishing to a genie in a bottle. But she goes, you have to be specific. So it's going to be intense. You're going to really write it out. You're going to take your time, because you don't like a genie in a bottle and go, I want him to be really hot. Poof, there's a hot guy and he's dumb as shit. And the genie goes, well, you didn't say to be intelligent. So she's like, be very, very specific and take your time. So I did. And what I would do is I go through every guy I ever dated or boyfriend I had and all the attributes I liked about them. But then later went through what I didn't like and put it in a positive way. Like if they were a bad communicator, then write in your book, I want him to be a good communicator. She goes, then it's going to take you a while and you may add on to it. She goes, then here's the key. She goes, then you put it away and you become it, because he deserves the same prize. And that is exactly. So when you ask if you get haters, I don't preach anything. I don't walk the walk. So you can hate on me all you want. But the thing is everything I preach, I work my best to be walking the walk and doing the same thing, because I want to attract those type of people. I want to attract that kind of man. And what you put out, you will attract. And that's what I try to preach. And I say this in the book in the last part of it, that, be your best self and you will attract that. And if you are working on these attributes that I put out in the book, you're innately going to start attracting women, because you're becoming these wonderful things and you have these things in common and you have those same traits that you're looking for, higher quality traits, that you'll start to attract higher value people.
Man, it's getting real up in here, gentlemen and ladies too, young, old, it doesn't matter. All of these things can apply. Listen, we're going to take a break right now. And when we come back, we're going to find out if Stacy is single, if she's dating, what's going on in her life. And we're going to dig in more to these character traits that help you attract your high value woman. We'll be right back. When was the last time you had blood work done? Now, I'm specifically talking to men because I know most women are going to take care of their health, but men, for some reason, don't want to go to the doctor. And the guys that I talk to in my coaching program typically haven't had their blood work done in a while. Let me tell you something. It's so important to understand what's going on in your blood. That's the only thing that can tell you where you're lacking in nutrients, what might be happening in your life that will never be figured out otherwise. So this is the reason I've created a relationship with Merrick Health. Now, what we're going to do when you click on the link in the show notes is get you set up to have your blood work done. It's as simple as filling out a form and then going off to a LabCorp or one of the places that we would send you in your town, local to you. Takes you a few minutes. Listen, schedule it into your life because it's that important. I have a discount code for you. It's Clark. Just put that into the thing. You're going to save some money and you're going to go get your blood work done. We're going to find out what's going on in your life. And hopefully there's nothing to be concerned about, but you won't know until you get it done. So fill out the form, book it, and make it happen. Alrighty. So the question is, and I know someone asked you this on a TikTok live you did the other day when you were promoting your book, like, well, who are you dating? What do you do? Why are you single or whatever the question was? I remember.
They did. They asked me if I was single and or married. And I said, I'm single. And they were like, then who are you to tell me anything about relationship, whatever? And I thought, married people are the worst people to ask. And I'm not, because that married person's who I'd ask about marriage. Yeah. They're doing it.
Right.
If I'm in a marriage and I need to know some information about how, what do you do this? I'm new. I don't know. Then I'm going to go to married people. Clark, when's the last time you were on a date?
30.
Exactly.
9 years ago. I don't know.
So, right?
Yes.
Your wife.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But I mean, like on the, like dating,
Right.
like you're hunting for a new person, right? So you're not going to know. You haven't been out there in a while, And so married people, God bless them. Yeah. I know they're trying, but they give the worst advice when it comes to being single because they're not out there.
Well, yeah.
They don't know. They don't know it. So I'm like, don't you want to hear from a single person who talks to other single people, who's out there, who I'm watching, I'm observing how people interact. So yeah, so I am single. And that's why I was telling them, I'm the type of person that can tell you, let me tell you what this guy did the other night and what he did wrong, that kind of thing. So I just think that you wouldn't ask again someone who's not in the fitness world about fitness.
Absolutely not.
So that's where it came to.
That's a great point. And again, that's just someone trying to demean what you're doing out there and giving great advice on dating. And this really it's great advice. And I think if more men specifically followed just the few things we've learned so far and applied them to your life, you would attract the high value woman that you're looking for. And it's this rushing into things, I think, that gets people in trouble, right? Like, oh, I'm just going to, time is slipping by. I'm getting older. I just need to get a hold of someone, right? You're not settling for anything but what you have on that list and what you're becoming, like what you just said.
You actually, it's hard to. Because as you become that, you become more in tune and at peace with yourself and of loving yourself. And again, if I don't love myself well, how am I going to love you really well?
Yeah.
And that's one of the things people realize is you need to know yourself so well, because the more you know yourself, you will not tolerate certain things. And that's both men and women. You will not tolerate certain behaviors because you go, you're not going to mess up my peace. Unless you can contribute well to my life, don't mess up my peace. And that's part of just growing and becoming a better person, that you do have kind of that list and you go, no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah. There's an Indian proverb that I love. It says, I love me best when I'm with you. So if you think about that, the person that you choose to be with should make you love yourself more.
Oh, yeah.
And too often, that's not the case.
Right.
That's why people run and hide. And it's like, hey, I just got to get out of the house or whatever. So it's a shame. And when you get to know yourself and love yourself, like you just stated, you become pickier too, right? You won't put up with someone who doesn't check one of the boxes. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with having boxes that need to be checked.
100%. 100%.
Right?
And that's interesting because I just did a reel my most recent reel on TikTok, and boy, that blew up some people.
Being by yourself.
Being alone.
Yeah.
It's important to be alone. And I had some men that did not like that. They didn't, women don't need to be alone. Okay, feminist. They started calling me a feminist and everything, blue-haired feminist. I'm like, what does that have to do with being a feminist? I need to know me. Yeah. Not only that, if a woman doesn't learn how to be alone, pay her own bills, let's just say she never been alone. She went from mommy and daddy to whatever, and now she's got a husband. And they have a couple kids, and the kids are, I don't know, let's say 4 and 6. And he dies unexpectedly. What is she going to do? We hear about this often. Sometimes they say you're one car accident away from being a widow and being homeless because she doesn't know how to take care of herself right now. So why would you wish that on any woman? Why wouldn't you be prideful that my woman can be alone? And because she can be alone, and because she knows how to pay her bills, and because she knows who she is, she picked me. I think that is a better, she picked me.
Yeah.
She doesn't need me. She picked me. And I think that's a bigger feather in your hat than just going, she needs me. And a lot of people didn't like that. They didn't like the idea of a woman learning to be alone. And I didn't say it permanently.
Right.
You just need to have time. But men do too. All too often, men don't want to be alone because when we are alone, we face our internal demons and our insecurities. And that's why people inundate themselves with drugs, with alcohol, with friends, with sex, with porn, right? And they aren't learning to be who they are. Well, if you're not learning to be who your authentic self, how are you going to share yourself with someone else and let that be authentic and high value?
Yeah. I want to close a loop here right now because Stacy's in a vein of passion and purpose and calling. If you remember King Randall, who came here, yes. And when I was sitting here watching him going, this person right here in front of me is tapped into their purpose, right? And as I'm watching you, I'm like, guys, if you're not listening to this, you're missing out. So Stacy was the one who introduced me to King Randall and said, you need to get this guy on the podcast. So now that I've made that connection, you can see a similarity. This young black man driven with a purpose to have these young kids become better and stronger than him. And Stacy with this purpose and this passion to have men become what you want to attract and create the relationship based upon time, investment of beautiful energy, and you'll get what you want. You'll get what you want. And
quality what you want. Because I'm sure, because you deal with men all the time and talk to them and I love that you really bring out to them to speak up if you're having emotional issues and mental issues, because all too often they hold it in. But how many of these men, you can tell me, do they feel alone in their marriage? They feel lonely and alone in their marriage because somewhere there was a disconnect in that relationship. And a lot of that could be that they really didn't bring their most authentic selves to the plate. Yeah. And everyone wants that. Everyone wants that true connection, we call it soulmate. I don't really believe in one soulmate. I think there are several. But again, like what you just said with King and I, at first I saw King on Instagram and his vibration resonated with me. And that's why I'm like, I love this guy. I love what he represents. I love what he has, what he brings to the table. And he is a man of high value. If you look at, he's young, but he's got a man of high value. I listened to him. We went to dinner actually after your podcast a day later. And the way he treats women, impeccable, and that just resonated with me. And that's, again, you attract what you become. And so, yeah, I just think that too many men, they're not stepping up and becoming their most authentic self. And I get it. I get it right now. We're in a world where you do get like that man. I got to understand what that man was kind of yelling at me about, like, you feminist and all that. I get it. Because then you have the toxic male word going out. And there are some feminists out there. There are some toxic men out there. I've had some narcissistic men in my relationships, right? But that doesn't mean all men are toxic. And it doesn't mean an alpha, confident, strong man is toxic. That's where they try to put that toxic on, and I don't like that. No, being strong, alpha, confident, compatible, and all the things in my book, if he's all of those, he's not toxic. He's one of the most healthiest men you're going to want to be around. And so I think that what happens is people are afraid to step up, and men don't know where their place is. in this world right now.
So that's why I wanted to bring up confidence, because I'm confident, you're confident, King's confident. And I think most of the men that I deal with and most of the men that you've encountered who lead with their dick in their wallet are not confident. They're lacking that part of what makes a man a high value man who is attractive to someone of high value. So confidence is huge. What does confidence look like to you? How does that show up in your world when you see someone?
Well, for one, let's talk about, again, body language, right? You and I have seen that a person, the way they walk in a room. People walk with a gait and you can see it. If you just were to observe, if anybody gets a chance, observe people in an airport. I love doing that. And I'll actually make little stories in my head. Someone will walk by and I'm like, oh, that's a person who does this, and I'll just make a little story in my head. But you can tell by their gait, for one, if they're confident versus cocky and arrogant. We know that there's a high value person will know the difference and a high value woman will know the difference. But confident in the way they speak to you, how about a handshake?
Yeah.
Strong, and women too. I don't like the strong handshake and the eye contact. Eye contact is huge. I had a guy one time I was dating that it made him uncomfortable, my eye contact. You're intense is the word he used.
Do you lack confidence?
It's because I was seeing through his soul.
Yeah.
Because that's what I'm doing. I'm seeing right through it, but I'm intently looking and getting to know you. That's my way of saying, I want to know you. I want to get to know you as a person. And some people don't want to get known, So that's another confidence. Believing in themselves. There's so much of, and knowing a person of their word. They're confident. If they have integrity and they're strong in their integrity, they have confidence. Politically, we hear so much about the sheeps, you're a sheep. But a person who is confident doesn't follow the sheep. They have their own integrity, their own strong character. So I think a lot of those things, but a confident person doesn't mean that they're overpowering or grandiose. It just means they believe in who they are. They can be alone and stand alone without a problem and don't care what people think.
Yeah.
That's huge. You and I don't care about what people think.
Yeah. I literally care less, And I love being alone, honestly. I love going to lunch alone and sitting there by myself. If I choose to go live on Instagram, I'll do that. If I just want to sit there by myself, I'll do that. And I think if more people did that, like Stacy pointed out earlier, you have these internal conversations that you've avoided or you've masked with a relationship or alcohol because you're sitting there alone and you don't want to have it. So you're like, yeah, I'll have a vodka and soda or whatever. And boom, it's a deterrent. And having those internal conversations really can help you become more confident because you're working through the crap in your life that makes you high value. You'll eventually come through the other side. So everybody's capable of it. It's just a matter of getting rid of all of the shit that surrounds them that they're hiding behind, I think.
And fears.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't so much of our life we base on fear? I'm too afraid to see that. I'm too afraid. And fear to me is challenge. Confident person will be like, oh, really? You try to scare me? Let's bring it. Yeah. That's how I've always seen fear. And people will know I'm fearless. That's why I traveled to London by myself. And I'm a 5'0" girl. And they're like, you're going to London by yourself? I'm like, yes, I am. And don't think I wasn't a little afraid, but I wanted to conquer that. I wanted to show that you will not take me over with this fear. And I think they're afraid of what they're going to see. And there's nothing wrong. And this is what I love about Clark with his men. There's nothing wrong in seeking out help. If there's some issue you're having emotionally or mentally and you're too afraid to face it, because that demon and that trauma or whatever it is that's holding you back is going to hold you back from everything. And you really need to face it, because how can a woman feel confident that you're going to be the man that's going to lead her in the charge? She wants to know that if we went to war, I can let you lead me. If I feel like I can't let you lead me and I am going to have to pick up my gun and lead the charge, you're not my man.
So that's still a thing. A woman wants a strong, confident, capable man who can lead them, because I think a lot of women will see that as, I'm not bowing down to any man. I'm not less than any man. And that's not what you're saying at all.
No. And you hear that a lot. Like, you'll hear the alpha woman, most, I won't say 100%. Most alpha women will tell you, we're just looking for that alpha man to allow us to go, let me be beta for a while. We really, because we're always in charge of our own lives. And many of us, you men that are sitting there and going, well, you chose that. I didn't choose I chose to go to college, but I knew I had to go to college and pay for it myself. Nobody else is going to pay for it. So, you're independent. Well, I kind of had to be, right? So it's not like something I'm doing to spite you. I'm going to be alpha to spite you. I'm going to make my own money to spite you. It's how I had to survive in this world. And that's the way it is. But don't think that if I could find an alpha male who could come to my level or higher and I could go, I know he'll protect me. I know he's got my back. I know he has good integrity. Everything I just talked about. What a wonderful thing for an alpha woman to be able to go, you take charge for a while, babe. And almost all alpha women I know, that's really what they want.
Yeah, it's hard being, I guess I'll use the word aggressive all the time and in charge and pushing forward. I think anyone wants to, because those roles could be reversed as well. If you find a high value woman, then the man could also say, hey, I trust you to take charge. I've seen that strength in you. I see the confidence in you and the integrity and the character and all of the other things. So I'm going to take a break.
100%. Yeah. I mean, think about it. If we did, again, the analogy of war, if he got shot, he knows she'd grab his gun, put something on his wound and take over and protect her man. Yeah. Absolutely. And that's exactly what it's, again, going back to, you have my back. We both have each other's back. And I think some people call that a power couple, or it's just two people who are solid in their integrity and who they are. And they've come together and they know they have the back of each other.
Yeah. When I went to pre-marriage counseling way back in the day, I remember we went to this Catholic priest for that counseling. And he said, people get it wrong all the time. They say 50-50. It's not 50-50. It's 100-100. So you divide this up 50-50, you don't have it doesn't add up right. Mm-hmm. Right? Because what happens when that other person is weak? You're not surviving off of 50% of that other person's strength. You need 100% of that person to fill the gap for you.
Yeah, 100%. And if it's 100, they lose a little, then you might have to bump up to 125 while they're down to their 75. But yeah, you want their full person.
See, so now you can see how leading with your dick and your wallet doesn't sustain any kind of relationship, because when you get to this point that we're talking about now, which is where every relationship gets at some point, like the familiarity is there, yes, the newness, the hotness, the sex, all of the stuff that had you captivated at first is like, meh, it's not that big of a deal anymore. Now this other stuff is what sustains. So at first you might have been thinking, oh yeah, I'm just out here. But look, man, if you're in round 2 of your life and you've been married 27 years, male, female, or otherwise, because when I messed up the name of her book, I said, well, it applies to either sex. It's just like we're all just humans looking for that connection. So with being alone, would you be happy if you were alone for the rest of your life?
Yes.
Yeah.
I could do aloneness like the bomb. Yeah. And it's not like, it's because I fill my life with other passions. Okay. And also people need to keep in mind, love doesn't always have to be romantic.
Right.
I have love on so many other ways. Love comes from so many other places. And I think all too often we just follow I need the love from romance. I need that love. I need that love. You look at the love you have around you. Love from family, love from friends, love from clients. They're just...
The podcast support dog.
Oh, the love from the animals. Oh, I love it. I mean, so that fills my heart. I have love. Do I have it on the romance? No, but I don't, it's not going to leave me empty. Right. And like I said, I fill my life with passions. I think all too often people want to fill their time with another person because they don't have anything else going on with their life. They get lonely. So in other words, i.e. lonely means you did nothing on the weekend. You had nothing to fill your time with. I wrote a book. I'm a dancer still. I'm already getting ready to be in a dance performance in June. So I'm dancing. I hang out with my friends. I go to the gym. I have my clients. We have our my work.
You're starting another business.
I'm starting another business.
Do you want to talk about that at all since we brought
Well, not yet, but we will.
Right.
Yes. We will come back another time and do that. But so I just find that there's always, that goes back to one of the other traits, intelligence. Okay. Intelligence is always ongoing. You don't just learn a little bit. Okay, I'm done. I'm 9th grade level. I'm good. Whatever. I find it fascinating. There's some women out there, I don't know if most, but some women, and I'm one of them, I find it highly stimulating when the man is very intelligent. It's like, it's another form of stimulation. And part of that too is someone who's intelligent, and that intelligence is like beauty's in the eye of the beholder. My level of what I find intelligence is going to be different from another woman. So I don't want men to think, oh my God, they all want geniuses, right? No, we all have our level of intelligence we find attractive. But intelligence, one, people with a good sense of humor tend to be very intelligent. They're always learning about something new. So they're going to be exciting. They're going to be interesting when having conversation, because they may say, hey, I just read this great book, or I read this article. Their intelligence is going to keep stimulating the relationship and not get into that mundane that all too often long-term relationships can get into, that, automatic pilot kind of way. I think if you're constantly learning and growing, then there's more to bring into the relationship. And that's where I find people who are always wanting to learn more are much more exciting.
Yeah, learning and growing, it like Stacy said, you don't have to be a genius. You just have to be interested in something, which makes you interesting, which helps to sustain the relationship, because you're not just talking about a dog or something that gets a little boring after a while. So find something that you're excited about. Like Stacy could talk about politics all day long.
That could be a whole nother show.
Yeah.
Right.
So would that be an important trait for you? It's not listed in the book because it's not something that's...
And it goes with compatibility.
Okay. Yeah,
it goes right in there with compatibility. Politics, before it wasn't a big make or break with me. Now it kind of is. And it's not so much... it's more, again, goes back to integrity and strong character and what your beliefs are. Because really right now with politics, I truly believe we're in a spiritual war. I do. And so I want someone with strong character, and I want someone who is compatibility. Because if we are on two different sides of the fence, that's not going to really work. There's going to be arguing going on, and that goes back to compatibility. Just like for me, a deal breaker, for me personally, the guy I date has to be into fitness. I live and breathe this stuff.
There's nothing wrong
right?
with that.
Right. And so if he's not into fitness, we're not on the same page. And so I need someone who's into fitness. Maybe not the level I'm at because I'm a trainer, but one, I'll know because of the way he looks. He's gonna be walking the walk. But that's important to me. That's compatibility, because those of us in fitness are big on the way we eat, the way we prep our meals. It's like a language. And so that's a compatibility for me. But that's where I think some people say, oh, opposites attract. Maybe a little.
Not in that area.
Not in that area. There's certain things. I think if you're, I grew up in Utah with a highly Mormon state, right? Some Mormons, it's really imperative that you date another Mormon. And I get it. Their beliefs are very strong. It's what that's what they believe in, and their compatibility, how they're going to raise their children. Are we going to go to the same church together? So those things are important.
Yeah. Once you start getting out of that, then people know it's like, oh, okay, we're going to have some differences here. It's going to create some problems. But at the same time, that can keep people stuck too. It's like,
right.
If you find somebody that you have all of these compatibility things with, and they're not of the same faith, then, you have to take a risk, I guess, at some point.
Absolutely. But you don't want someone who's one-dimensional.
Right.
Do you know what I mean by that? I know you do.
Explain it.
Okay. Well, let's give I give an example because I do acting as well. And I went out with an actor up in LA. And the entire day was all about the business and the dropping of the names and this. And it really was boring for me, because all I kept thinking is, do you have any other dimensions of yourself? Do you snowboard? Are you maybe even writing a script, which is still in the same, what's the story? He had nothing else to talk about but that one dimension. And that's fine if we have a little bit of that compatibility, like fitness. I don't want to talk all fitness with a fitness guy.
Right.
I will get bored with you. I want to know that you have other things. That's where we may be a little bit opposite. Do you travel? Where have you traveled to? Tell me what you loved. There's so many other things about yourself. And if you're someone who says, I don't have confidence, or I'm lonely, find other passions. Did you always love horses and you wanted to learn how to horseback ride? It's never too late. And I know you probably preach that, because we get too many people go, well, do you know how old I am? You know me, I don't ask age.
Right.
Because I'm like, no, because if you put an age on your forehead, you're stopping yourself. Yeah. Stop doing that. I don't care what age you are. If that's something you wanted to go do, then go do it.
That's why the show's called Get Busy Livin'. Because most people don't get busy living and they get stuck in these patterns and habits, and life becomes mundane and you become less interested in doing things like fitness. So is someone not being fit a deal breaker for you?
Absolutely. For me.
Yeah,
but I always say that to people, because then you get people like, oh, you're so shallow. Right. Well, you know, I'm at the gym all the time. You know what one of my favorite things to do with my guy is work out together. Yeah. Like I had a guy one time that our first couple dates were at the gym, and then we went out to dinner afterwards. Loved it. Because that was a compatibility for me. But everybody, again, let's go back to horses. Maybe you love horseback riding and you find someone who he shows horses or whatever. I had a couple like that, actually. He was someone who did the shows all together, and she was a horse trainer, and they married, you know, because that was their world.
So guys, listen, a great angle, if you will, if you're trying to find a high value woman, would be when you're on a dating site, maybe do a little deeper dive and find her Instagram, see what her interests are. So if you see clearly this person's fitness, we've seen her website, we see what she's interested in, maybe instead of Netflix and chill or coffee or dinner or the traditional dates, you say, hey, how about we meet at the gym and we do whatever body part you want to do. I'd love to come and have a workout with you. Has anyone ever approached you that way of late?
No, not of late, but okay. I did, like I said, this one guy, we actually had mutual friends. I knew his brother and whatever. And that's what he said. And it was kind of cute. He goes, there's this really posh gym in downtown San Diego he wanted to try. He goes, want to go with me? Want to meet? And that was a brilliant idea, because it was also very cavalier, casual. You asked about how to stay safe. We're in a big public place and I'm meeting them at the gym, you know? So that also made me feel, okay, you know, he's truly not leading with the dick. He wants to go work out, right. You know? So yeah, that was a great way, but nobody as of late has asked me that. But I don't know what I was going to say. We got to go over body language.
Okay.
Do you want to go over that?
Yeah.
Sorry, it kind of went off the subject. I went squirrel on you for a minute because that was my biggest thing with men in bars, especially, or anywhere. Let's not just say bars, anywhere. Men really need to learn body language, because you were just saying, go get to know her like on the online thing. That's another thing. That's part of being observant.
Your body language, like observing your body language, not his body language.
Yes. So the girl you're about to go approach, right? Learn their body language.
If her back's to you, don't approach her. If you come next to her and you turn your back, if she turns her back even more, that's a pretty good.
So if Clark, I'm going to show you. If Clark's coming over to talk to me and I'm doing this and I'm responding to him like this, yeah, and I never open up to him, that is my way of saying, I ain't interested in you. And I'm trying to be polite by answering your questions, right? Men, you don't know how many times men don't get that one.
Really?
Oh my goodness. I'm like, my shoulder is still at you and they still won't get that. Someone asked earlier, how do I pick up a woman at the gym? I know you probably had men say that too sometimes. Most women don't want to be picked up, but we talked about this once. Most of us wear our pods in our ears, right? If she shows interest, you will get a little bit of green light. Let's say I see Clark, good looking guy, coming by me, and I see he coming towards me. I may pull out my pod to allow him to talk to me if he was interested. If she's not pulling nothing out, that's a green, there we go. That's a subtle green light. She'll pull that off to see, oh, is he going to talk to me? If not, she's go back to what she was doing, you know? So that's the body language. I think all too often men don't look at the left hand.
They don't see if
they don't see. You do not know how many times I've been out with girlfriends who are engaged, and they'll sit there and talk to her, and she's not hiding it. Yeah. She's like, her hands on the glass or whatever. Yeah, I mean, almost to that point. And then you're like, can I have your number? And we're looking at him like, you have got to be the dumbest person in the world right now. He never, and that's the first thing I look at. If I see a good looking man, I look and then I look. I look at his hand, and I'm looking to see, is he available? Well, no, not everybody wears it, but.
And that's what, to me, really makes you a high value woman, is the fact that you have a hard and fast rule. Mm-hmm. Like, you don't cross that line. You don't cross that line. And so many people do these days, and so many people make assumptions. Like, people would make assumption about us because we're too what some people might consider attractive people that are into the same thing. Like there's like nothing, you know what I mean? We're friends and we appreciate each other for who we are. And that's what I really, really appreciate about you is like, not even me. It's like you've said very clearly on many occasions that a guy might approach you and you're like, nope, bro. Like you'll put the shoulder out right away.
Even to the point where, and this is me, and I did a reel on this as well. And, I went TikTok live, and it was interesting to see the comments. I'm big on, and only because I was burned once, I'm big on not dating someone who's going through a divorce. How many of you guys have had that happen? Oh, I'm going through a divorce. We're separated.
Yeah, what does that mean exactly? That's very open to interpretation.
My response is, does she know you're separated? Because let me go talk to her. Let me find out she knows too. You're not. That chapter of your life is not finished. Don't include me in it. Don't bring me into your mess. And whether it's a mess or not, I'm big on not even dating someone if they're going through the divorce. It's more like you are divorced. You have that paper in hand and you are officially divorced. Now that book is closed, that chapter's done, you can start a new one. But I find all too often they're trying to replace. And they're not really, did you even look at what went wrong in your marriage? Have you had time alone to figure out, takes two to tango. How many times have we heard people go, she did this and she did that. Oh, it was all her, and vice versa, right? There's always three parts of the story, right? His version, her version, and the truth, right? And so they're not taking the time to go, okay, let's say she did all those things wrong, but you picked her. So what was it about you that picked her and married her and stayed? So these are things you need to figure out. Don't bring that into, like they always say, bring in your baggage. Don't bring that in. And if you didn't even finish that out, because you're not, if you're going through a divorce, you haven't even cleaned that mess up yet.
Yeah, one of my mentors, a really great man of God by the name of Ed Cole, who's been gone for a while now, he would always tell us, and he had a men's ministry, and he said, the way you leave one situation 100%. Is the way you will enter the next. So listen, speaking of leaving a situation, 60 minutes flew by.
Wow.
Like that. And this was such a great show, and you did such a fantastic job. I want everyone to go buy Stacy's book. Look, man, woman, young, old, doesn't matter, because the value that I got from sitting here knowing what's in the book, like I got even more value. And we want you to apply this to your life. I was talking to Jim, our producer today, who's a great man. He said, Clark, you know what makes a good podcast? When you leave feeling like you didn't waste your time.
Right.
And I feel like we really poured into some people's lives. So how can people follow you on Instagram, or do you want people to follow you anywhere?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So if they're going to go, let's go with, because the book is sold on TikTok, on my link there. Okay. TikTok is at Stacy Michaels, my full name. If they want to follow me on Instagram, I have two accounts. I have at Stacy's Fitness and that at Stacy's Fitness World. So you have that, and then you have my stacysfitness.com. And if you want to get a hold of me for any acting or modeling, it's stacymichaels.com.
At least it's all consistent there. So, Stacy, I want to have you back on again. You
Absolutely.
Did like a phenomenal job. You over-delivered as always. And that's another thing that I think is a character trait of a high-value woman. So thank you for watching today. We appreciate it. And as always, get busy living and make it a great day.